The $100 bill slaps onto the workbench like a challenge. Bet the museum lady can't even hit paper with her dusty toys. Chief Ryan Donovan's voice carries across the Heritage Armory, drawing laughs from 5 SEALs behind him. Serafina Reeves doesn't look up from the inventory clipboard. Her fingers pause on a serial number that shouldn't exist. The M1 Garand from 1943 sits between them, rust eating through its barrel like cancer. "You'll miss, sweetheart." Donovan lifts the rifle, theatrical. "This thing hasn't fired since your grandmother played nurse in the Pacific." The phone cameras come out. Someone starts recording. Serafina sets down her pen with mechanical precision, takes the Garand. Her palm reads the stock scars like Braille, finds the hairline crack near the trigger guard that shouldn't be there. The weight distribution is wrong by 3 ounces. Terms? Her voice stays flat. 10 rounds, 300 yards, iron sights. Donovan grins. Miss one, you find another job. Hit one, you keep the money. She doesn't mention she's noticed the rear sight has been loosened, or that the serial number belongs to a weapon supposedly destroyed in 1974, or that her brother died investigating missing heritage weapons exactly 1 year ago today. Deal. The SEALs follow her to the range, already dividing the winnings. In 7 minutes, they'll understand why some weapons choose their shooters, and why the deadliest secrets hide in plain sight. The Naval Base San Diego Heritage Armory sits like a forgotten memory at the edge of the main compound. Monday morning brings salt fog from the Pacific, coating the windows with a film that makes everything inside look older than it is. The fluorescent lights flicker overhead, throwing irregular shadows across rows of decommissioned weapons that haven't tasted powder in decades. Serafina Reeves arrived at 0700, same as every morning for the past 11 months. The stunningly beautiful woman with Russian features moves through the museum with practiced efficiency. Her fair porcelain skin catches the harsh lighting, natural freckles scattered across her cheeks and nose like constellations. The high, sharp bridge of her nose casts a defined shadow as she bends over the inventory logs. Her long, light brown hair, tied in a messy high bun with loose curls escaping, sways slightly as she works. Those captivating green eyes scan serial numbers with an intensity that seems excessive for a simple museum technician. Her fitted light gray t-shirt bears the museum logo, stretched slightly across shoulders that hold themselves too straight for civilian work. The slim, dark military pants and brown combat boots complete an appearance that walks the line between military and civilian, belonging fully to neither world. The main door bangs open at 0800. 5 men in Navy operational uniforms stride in like they own the place. Which, technically, they might argue they do. Chief Petty Officer Ryan Donovan leads them. 6'2", shoulders broad enough to block doorways, the kind of SEAL whose beard regulations seem more like suggestions. His team follows in a loose formation that still manages to dominate the space. Petty Officer First Class Brooks, Petty Officer Second Class Martinez, Seaman Torres, and Petty Officer First Class Coleman spread out, examining the displays with the casual arrogance of men who've handled real weapons in real combat. Morning tour for the special warfare community, Donovan announces, though Serafina hasn't asked. Cultural enrichment, they call it. She continues cataloging without looking up. Tours are Tuesdays and Thursdays. By appointment. We don't do appointments. Brooks picks up a Vietnam-era bayonet, tests its weight. We do whatever operational tempo demands. The camera phones emerge almost immediately. Martinez already has his recording, narrating to his future social media audience. Check it out, boys. Navy Heritage Museum, where weapons go to die and librarians dust their graves. Serafina's breathing maintains a steady rhythm. 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 4 counts out, 4 counts pause. The pattern runs so deep she doesn't notice it anymore. Her fingers trace down the inventory list, stopping at an entry that makes her pupils dilate for half a second. Serial number 3335781. M1 Garand, manufactured Springfield Armory, October 1943. Status: destroyed in depot fire, 1974. The same rifle currently sits on her workbench, waiting for its monthly cleaning. What's your name, museum lady? Donovan leans against her desk, deliberately knocking over a cup of pencils. Reeves. First name? She looks up for the first time. Those green eyes meet his with an absence of emotion that makes him shift his weight. Serafina. Pretty name for a pretty lady playing with dead guns. He picks up the Garand, handling it like a prop. You actually know what this is? M1 Garand, 30-06, 8-round on-block clip. 4.4 million manufactured. Standard infantry rifle, World War II through Korea. Wikipedia warrior, Brooks laughs. Bet she's never fired anything louder than a cap gun. Torres, the youngest at maybe 22, seems uncomfortable with the mockery, but says nothing. His eyes dart between his teammates and Serafina, catching something in her posture they're missing. Coleman spots the range safety certificate on the wall. Holy cow, she's actually qualified for the base range. Minimum standards for civilian contractors. Minimum standards. Donovan repeats it like a punchline, reaches into his pocket, pulls out his wallet. The $100 bill lands on her workbench with deliberate force. Tell you what, Serafina, let's make this educational. She doesn't respond, but her hand stills on the inventory sheet. You take this rusty piece of history to the range. 10 rounds, 300 yards. Iron sights only. He grins, gold crown on his left molar catching the light. You put 1 round on paper, any part of the target, you keep the 100. You miss them all, you find another job. Admit you're just playing dress-up with real warriors' tools. Martinez adds another 100 to the pile. I want in on this action. Brooks follows. Coleman too. Even Torres, after hesitation, adds a 20. $420 sits on her workbench. Serafina's fingers ghost across the Garand's stock. The wood tells stories through its scars. A gouge near the trigger guard that wasn't there last month. The weight distribution off by 3 ounces, maybe more. The rear sight she can see without looking has been loosened, probably with a pocket tool, just enough to throw shots wide. Her right hand finds a specific scar in the wood grain. Runs along it like reading a message. The hairline crack that follows isn't from age, it's from modification. Recent modification. Range is hot in 30 minutes, Donovan says. Unless you're scared. She stands with an economy of movement that makes Torres step back instinctively. Lifts the rifle with both hands, keeping the muzzle oriented safely downrange even inside the museum. The muscle memory runs deeper than thought. Terms, she says. Like I said, 10 rounds. Your terms. Mine are different. Her voice carries no emotion. I fire 3 rounds only. All 3 hit bullseye, you leave my museum, and don't come back. 1 misses, I resign today. The SEALs exchange glances. Brooks whistles low. Confident for a duster. Deal. Donovan extends his hand. She doesn't take it. Instead, she moves to the gun safe, inputs a code too quickly for them to follow, withdraws a small case of 30-06 ammunition. The brass gleams dully, head stamps indicating manufacture in 1968. She selects 10 rounds with the kind of care that makes Martinez stop recording. Let's walk, she says. The group moves through the base toward the range, drawing stairs. 5 SEALs following a museum technician carrying a World War II rifle creates a scene worth watching. Phones appear in windows. A few Marines on morning PT slow their run to observe. Getting famous already, Coleman says to his phone camera. About to watch museum lady embarrass herself with great-grandpa's gun. Young Lance Corporal Williams passes them, heading to admin. Serafina notices his collar folded wrong, the kind of mistake that draws unwanted attention from sergeants. Without breaking stride, she reaches out and fixes it with 2 fingers. The Marine blinks, confused, but she's already moved on. The gesture takes perhaps 2 seconds. Williams watches her go, hand unconsciously checking the correction. Sweet touch, Brooks mocks. Very maternal. They reach range 7 at 0830. The morning sun cuts sharp angles across the firing positions. The 300-yard lane stretches toward the earthen berm, target frames standing like scarecrows in the distance. The range safety officer, Gunnery Sergeant Wilson, looks up from his paperwork. Chief Donovan, didn't see your name on today's schedule. Special authorization, cultural exchange with our heritage department. Donovan gestures at Serafina. Museum tech wants to demonstrate historical weapons employment. Wilson's eyes narrow. He's maybe 55, gray creeping through his regulation haircut, the kind of Marine who's seen enough to recognize patterns others miss. His gaze lingers on Serafina's posture, the way she holds the rifle, the unconscious way she's already checking wind indicators. I'll need to inspect the weapon, he says. She hands it over without hesitation. Wilson's examination is thorough, professional. His fingers find the loosened rear sight immediately. Without commenting, he produces a multi-tool, tightens it properly. Donovan's jaw clenches, but he says nothing. Ammunition? She presents the rounds. Wilson examines each one, checking for defects, measuring overall length with practiced eyes. These are vintage but serviceable. You understand the liability? Yes, Gunny. The title comes out naturally, the way only someone familiar with Marine Corps structure would use it. Wilson's eyebrow raises slightly. Lane 4 is yours. I'll observe as RSO. The SEALs spread out behind the firing position, phones ready. Martinez starts a live stream. All right, Navy family, you're about to witness natural selection in action. Museum lady thinks she can shoot. Serafina moves to the preparation bench, lays out the rifle and ammunition with deliberate precision. Her breathing maintains that same 4-4-4-4 rhythm. From under her shirt, barely visible, a chain shifts. Dog tags, worn against skin so long they have left a permanent impression. She loads the first round into the Garand's internal magazine. The en-bloc clip makes its distinctive ping as it seats. Her thumb clears the bolt's path with unconscious expertise, avoiding the infamous Garand thumb that catches novices. Safety orientation, Wilson says formally. Weapon status, loaded, safety on, pointed down range. You may move to the firing line when ready. She picks up the rifle and moves forward. The SEALs follow, maintaining their commentary. Look at that stance, Brooks laughs. Feet together like she's posing for a photo. But Torres, the youngest, sees something different. The way her weight distributes evenly, the micro-adjustment of her support hand, the angle of her shoulders. Guys, he starts, then stops. Serafina goes prone without ceremony. The movement flows like water, her body finding the position through muscle memory older than her museum job. The rifle extends naturally from her shoulder, support hand finding the forward sling swivel without looking. What would you do if you discovered evidence of betrayal hidden in plain sight? Would you pursue justice or protect yourself? Share your thoughts below. Wilson watches more intently now. There's something about her cheek weld, the way her breathing pauses naturally at the bottom of exhale, the perfect parallel between her spine and the rifle's bore axis. The target looks pretty small from here, Coleman narrates to his camera. 300 yards with iron sights and a 70-year-old rifle. This is going to be embarrassing. Serafina's finger finds the trigger, takes up the first stage with mechanical precision. The pad of her finger rests at exactly 90 degrees to the trigger's movement. Her left hand pulls the rifle back into her shoulder pocket with consistent pressure. The morning wind gusts at 5 knots from the west. She doesn't adjust the windage. Instead, her body angles imperceptibly, accounting for drift through position as it rather than sight manipulation. Shooter ready? Wilson asks. Ready? Range is hot, fire when prepared. The first shot breaks like glass. The Garand bucks, but her body absorbs it without flinching. The brass ejects in a perfect arc. Downrange, Wilson's spotting scope shows the hole. Dead center, X-ring. The SEALs stop talking. Second round chambers. She finds her natural respiratory pause again. The trigger breaks clean. Another X-ring hit. So close to the first, they're nearly touching. No way, Martinez breathes. Third round. This time she waits, counts wind gusts, feels the rhythm of the range, the way the flag patterns indicate a lull coming. In the space between heartbeats, she presses. The spotting scope confirms what everyone already knows. 3 rounds, 1 ragged hole in the bullseye's center. Serafina safes the weapon and stands in one smooth motion. No celebration, no acknowledgement. She begins walking back to the prep bench. Wait, Donovan's voice cracks slightly. That's impossible. Nobody shoots like that with museum junk. She turns back. Those green eyes hold his for a moment that stretches uncomfortably long. The rifle's fine. Your sight adjustment wasn't. Wilson steps forward. Chief, I believe the demonstration is complete. This is nonsense. She got lucky. Brooks approaches the bench where Serafina is unloading the remaining rounds. Do it again. Terms were 3 rounds, she says quietly. I'm done. I said 10 rounds originally. And I modified the terms. You agreed. She pulls the dog tags from under her shirt briefly, tucking them back before anyone can read them. But Torres catches a glimpse. 2 sets. 1 too worn to read, 1 newer. The younger SEAL's face changes. He's seen that before. Everyone who has lost someone in combat has. 1 set theirs, 1 set belonging to the dead. Chief, Torres says quietly, Let's go. Not until the range alarm sounds. 3 sharp blasts. Weapons safe, cease fire, emergency protocol. Commander Paul Harrison strides onto the range with 2 shore patrol officers. The logistics officer's uniform bears the kind of ribbon rack that speaks to decades of service, though Torres notes the absence of any combat decorations. Harrison's face carries the practiced authority of someone who's learned to project power from behind a desk. Chief Donovan, explain why you're at my range without authorization. Sir, we were conducting cultural training. With a civilian? Harrison's eyes fix on Serafina. Recognition flashes, followed by something else. Calculation. Ms. Reeves, that weapon you're holding belongs to the Heritage Museum. Yes, sir. And you removed it without proper documentation. He produces a phone, shows a screen. I have here the registry showing no weapons were signed out today. Wilson interrupts. Commander, I observe the entire... Gunnery Sergeant, I'll speak with you later about allowing unauthorized personnel on your range. Harrison turns to the shore patrol. Ms. Reeves has removed classified military property without authorization. Secure the weapon and take her into custody. The shore patrol officers exchange uncertain glances. One steps forward. Ma'am, please set the weapon down and place your hands behind your back. Serafina complies without resistance. The metal handcuffs click with a sound that makes Torres flinch. As they secure her, something falls from the rifle stock. A small crack in the wood, hidden by her grip, spreads slightly. Inside, barely visible, the edge of something plastic glints. Wilson sees it, Torres sees it, but Harrison is already directing the shore patrol to move. Transport her to security. I'll handle the paperwork personally. As they lead her away, Serafina's expression never changes. But her fingers tap against her leg in a pattern. 4 taps, pause, 4 taps, pause, 4 taps, pause, 4 taps, pause. The SEALs stand frozen, their phones still recording. The money sits forgotten on the prep bench, scattered by morning wind. Wilson picks up the Garand with careful hands. The crack in the stock spreads another millimeter. Whatever's inside shifts slightly, catching sunlight. Chief Donovan, he says quietly, you might want to contact JAG. Why? Because that rifle's serial number doesn't exist in any database I can access, and Commander Harrison signed for its destruction personally in 1974. The morning fog burns off slowly, revealing the full scope of Naval Base San Diego spread across the harbor. In the security building, Serafina sits in an interview room, still cuffed, still silent. The camera in the corner records everything. She stares at it occasionally, those green eyes seeming to look through the lens at someone specific. The door opens. NCIS Special Agent Lisa Chen enters, followed by Harrison. Chen is perhaps 35, compact and sharp, with the kind of alertness that comes from years of watching people lie. She carries a laptop and a thick folder. Ms. Reeves, Harrison begins, you're in serious trouble. Theft of military property, unauthorized access to weapons, conduct prejudicial to good order. Commander, Chen's voice cuts through his list. I'll handle the interview. This is my jurisdiction. Not anymore. She produces a paper. NCIS has assumed control of this investigation. Harrison's face reddens. On what grounds? That's classified. Chen waits until he leaves, slamming the door behind him. Then she turns to Serafina, studies her for a long moment. You're not surprised I'm here. Serafina doesn't respond. The rifle. You knew it would trigger this. Chen opens her laptop, types quickly. Serial number 3357821, reported destroyed 50 years ago. Yet here it is, in pristine enough condition to put 3 rounds through the same hole. Still nothing. Your brother was Lance Corporal Marcus Reeves. Not a question. Died in a training accident 13 months ago, except the investigation was closed remarkably quickly by Commander Harrison. Serafina's breathing changes slightly. Still 4, 4, 4, 4, but deeper. Chen pulls out a photo. Marcus Reeves in dress blues, young and serious. He was investigating discrepancies in heritage weapon inventories when he died. Fell from a training tower at 0300, alone, no witnesses. The handcuffs click against the table as Serafina shifts slightly. You requested transfer to the museum position 2 weeks after his funeral. Prior to that, you were... Chen checks her notes, frowns. That's interesting. Your personnel file from before the transfer is restricted. Classification level I don't have access to. The door opens again. Gunnery Sergeant Wilson enters, carrying the Garand carefully. The crack in the stock has spread further. Agent Chen, you need to see this. He sets the rifle on the table. Using a knife, he carefully pries at the crack. The wood separates, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside, wrapped in plastic, is a micro SD card. Chen puts on gloves, extracts it carefully. How long has this been there? The modification's recent, Wilson says, within the last month. The wood stain doesn't match, and the glue's still tacky. Ms. Reeves, Cheney says slowly, did you put this here? For the first time, Serafina speaks. I need immunity. That's not how. Full immunity for any actions taken in the last 13 months, in writing. Then I'll tell you everything. Chen considers. I can offer full immunity or nothing. You have about 6 hours before the next shipment leaves. After that, the trail goes cold permanently. Shipment of what? Serafina looks at the SD card. 47 heritage weapons, real ones, being replaced with reproductions while the originals go to private collectors. That card has the manifests, the bank records, and something else. What else? My brother's last recording. Chen stands abruptly, leaves the room. Through the door, they can hear rapid phone conversation. 15 minutes pass. She returns with a document. Immunity agreement, conditional on full cooperation and truthful testimony. Serafina reads it carefully, then signs with her cuffed hands. Chen removes the restraints. Talk. My name is Serafina Reeves, former Defense Intelligence Agency analyst, detailed to Naval Criminal Investigative Service for Joint Operations, specialist in arms trafficking and military equipment theft. I'm not retired. I'm undercover. Chen's expression doesn't change, but Wilson takes a step back. 13 months ago, my brother Marcus discovered someone was switching heritage weapons with reproductions, museum pieces, supposedly decommissioned, all from World War II and Korea. The real weapons were being sold to collectors, some overseas. He documented everything on that card. She stands, stretches muscles cramped from sitting. He was murdered before he could report it. Harrison signed off on the death as a training accident, but Marcus was afraid of heights. He wouldn't have been on that tower voluntarily. You have been investigating alone for over a year? Not alone. I've had help. Serafina glances at Wilson. Some people notice patterns, some people remember faces. Wilson nods slowly. I knew I recognized you. Fort Benning, 2008. You were teaching pattern recognition to scout snipers. Different life. She turns back to Chen. The shipment leaves Pier 47 at 1400. Container MSKU 488291. Inside are 15 Garands, 10 Springfields, 12 M1 carbines, and 10 Browning automatic rifles. All authentic, all supposedly destroyed years ago. Chen inserts the SD card into her laptop. Files cascade across the screen. Invoices, shipping manifests, bank transfers. Then a video file, dated the night Marcus died. The screen shows a young Marine's face, frightened but determined. Marcus Reeves, looking over his shoulder in what appears to be a storage facility. If something happens to me, his recorded voice says, Commander Harrison is running stolen valor to the next level. He's selling our heritage, our history. The weapons aren't just things. They're what our grandfathers carried, what they died carrying. And he's selling them like scrap metal. A sound off camera makes him flinch. Someone's coming. The proof's all here. 47 weapons so far, but there's more. Other bases. Follow the money through. The video cuts to black. A second later, a new scene. Security footage from a different angle shows Marcus on the training tower. He's not alone. A figure in dark clothing pushes him. The image is grainy, but the build matches Harrison. Chen pauses the video. This is enough for arrest warrants. There's more. Serafina points to another file. Harrison wasn't working alone. Check the authorizations. Chen opens it. Names cascade down. Chief Donovan, 3 other SEAL instructors, 2 logistics officers, a web of connections across multiple bases. Donovan was muscle, Serafina explains. Intimidation for anyone who asked questions. He didn't know about Marcus specifically, but he knew about the weapons. How can you be sure? Because he brought that specific Garand today, the one with the planted evidence. He thought it was just another switched weapon, something to humiliate me with. He didn't know I'd modified it last week. Wilson laughs, short and sharp. You set them up. I knew they'd come eventually. Museum duty isn't exactly prestigious. SEALs love to mock support personnel. I just had to wait. Chen is already on her phone, mobilizing resources. I need Harbor Patrol at Pier 47, full NCIS response team, and get me arrest warrants for... She lists names rapidly. Through the window, they can see the base coming alive with activity. Security vehicles racing toward the logistics center, Marines running to positions. Ms. Reeves, Chen says formally, I need you to come with us. Your testimony will be crucial. After, Serafina picks up the Garand, runs her fingers along its scars. After you stop the shipment, after you arrest Harrison, after you give my brother justice, this is evidence. This is my father's rifle. The words come out flat, emotionless. Carried it through Normandy, brought it home, donated it to the museum when he died. Harrison had it listed as destroyed so he could sell it. She sets it down carefully. Marcus found it in a container 3 days before he died. Called me, crying. Said Dad would have been heartbroken to know his rifle was being sold to some collector who'd hang it on a wall and make up stories about their own service. Wilson steps closer. Your father was Richard Reeves, 1st Battalion, 5th Marines. You knew him? Every Marine who went through Scout Sniper School heard about him. 300 confirmed. Never missed when it mattered. Wilson looks at the rifle with new understanding. That's why you shoot like that. He taught you. Every weekend from age 7 to 17. She touches the stock where the crack runs. This scar, from a German 88 round that missed him by inches at St. Lo, he said it reminded him that luck matters as much as skill. Chen's phone buzzes. Harbor Patrol's in position. We move in 10 minutes. I'm coming, Serafina says. You're a civilian. Check my file again. She produces an ID from a hidden pocket. Still active DIA. Never actually left. Chen examines it, makes another call, nods. You're with us. They move as a unit toward the door, but Torres appears in the hallway, breathing hard from running. Wait, he gasps. Chief Donovan's heading for the pier. Someone tipped him off. Serafina doesn't hesitate. He's going to destroy evidence. We need to move now. The convoy races through base streets, lights flashing. Serafina rides with Chen, the Garand across her lap. She's changed into tactical gear someone had ready, as if this had all been planned. The fit suggests it was tailored for her specifically. How long have you really been planning this? Chen asks. Since the day Marcus died. Serafina checks the rifle's action with practiced movements. Every detail, every contingency. The betting, the mockery. Predictable. SEALs have egos. Challenge them, they respond. Donovan especially. His psychological profile shows narcissistic tendencies with authority issues. Wave money and disrespected him, he can't resist. They reach Pier 47 at 13:45. The container sits on a truck, ready for loading. Donovan's vehicle is already there, the chief arguing with a crane operator. Federal agents, nobody move. The scene explodes into motion. NCIS agents swarm the pier. Harbor patrol boats block the water exit. Donovan reaches for something, then sees Serafina stepping out, rifle in hand. You, he breathes. Me. She keeps the Garand pointed down but ready. Hands where I can see them, Chief. You're just museum staff. Harrison's voice cuts across the pier. She's DIA. Has been all along. The commander emerges from behind a container, weapon drawn. Drop the rifle, Reeves. Chen and her team draw their weapons. Commander Harrison, you're under arrest. Put the weapon down. You don't understand, Harrison says. This is bigger than some stolen weapons. National security is at stake. National security? Serafina's voice carries across the water. You pushed my brother off a tower for national security? Your brother was going to expose a carefully constructed operation to sell military heritage for profit. She takes a step forward, each weapon traced to specific veterans, men who died carrying them, and you turned them into commodities. They're just things, metal and wood. Say that again. Her finger hovers near the trigger. Say my father's rifle is just a thing. Chen intervenes. Serafina, stand down. But Wilson appears from behind another container, rifle raised. Harrison, I've got you covered. Lower your weapon. The tableau freezes. Harrison with his pistol. Serafina with the Garand. NCIS agents covering everyone. The water laps against the pier, seabirds crying overhead. Then Torres moves. The young SEAL, forgotten in the chaos, tackles Donovan from behind. The chief's concealed weapon flies across the concrete. "I'm done with this," Torres shouts. "We're supposed to have honor." The distraction breaks the moment. Harrison swings his pistol toward Torres. Serafina moves faster. The Garand comes up, and she fires. The pistol flies from Harrison's hand. He screams, clutching his wrist. Not a lethal shot, but surgical in its precision. "That's for Marcus," she says quietly. NCIS agents swarm Harrison, forcing him down, cuffing him. Chen reads him his rights while medics tend to his hand. Donovan is likewise secured, cursing and threatening legal action. The container is opened. Inside, exactly as promised, are 47 weapons, each tagged with its supposed destruction date, each worth thousands on the black market. Chen approaches Serafina, who's sitting on a crate, the Garand across her knees. "That shot. You could have killed him." "Could have." She traces the rifle's scars again. "But Marcus wouldn't have wanted that. He believed in justice, not vengeance. The immunity agreement holds, but I need your full report. Everything from the beginning. Tomorrow." Serafina stands, shoulders the rifle. "Today, I need to visit a grave." She walks toward the parking lot, where Wilson waits by his truck. "I'll drive you," he offers. "Fort Rosecrans? I know where Marcus is buried. Row 17, Plot 42. I visit sometimes. He was a good Marine." They drive in silence through the base, past the museum where this all started. The money from the morning's bet still sits on the prep bench, scattered by afternoon wind. Nobody's claimed it. Fort Rosecrans National Cemetery spreads across Point Loma, white headstones in perfect rows overlooking the Pacific. They walk together into Marcus's grave. Fresh flowers already rest there, though Serafina hasn't visited in weeks. "Torres," Wilson explains. "He's been coming since he figured out who you were. Said he owes Marcus a debt." "Marcus saved him?" "In Afghanistan. Pulled him out of an ambush. Never made the official report because it would have exposed Torres' mistake that led to it." Serafina kneels by the headstone, sets the Garand carefully on the grass. From her pocket, she pulls the dog tags, places one set at the base of the stone. "It's done, little brother. They're going to pay for what they did." The sun sets over the Pacific, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. Somewhere, a bugler plays taps, the notes carrying across the cemetery. "What now?" Wilson asks. "Now?" Serafina picks up the rifle, checks her watch. "Now I go back to the museum. Tomorrow's Tuesday. Tour day. Tour day. And I have a new story to tell, about a lance corporal who died protecting history, and the rifle that brought his killers to justice." She walks back toward the truck, Wilson beside her. Behind them, Marcus's headstone catches the last light of day. The inscription reads, "Lance Corporal Marcus Reeves, beloved brother, guardian of truth." At the museum, someone has cleaned up the money from the bench, but pinned under a rock is a note for the Marcus Reeves Memorial Fund, signed by every SEAL who was there that morning, including Donovan. Even from a jail cell, some honors transcend everything else. Serafina unlocks the museum door, turns on the lights. The weapons gleam in their cases, each one a story, each one a life. She places the Garand in a special case, one that's been empty for 13 months. The placard reads, M1 Garand, serial 3357821, carried through Normandy by Corporal Richard Reeves, USMC, preserved by his children, Serafina and Marcus Reeves. This rifle stands as testimony that truth outlives the lie, always. Her phone buzzes, Chen texting, Harrison's talking, 7 more bases involved, we need you. Serafina types back, after the tour tomorrow, the museum opens at 9. She locks up, walks to her car. The base is quiet now, the crisis past. But through the windows of the NCIS building, lights burn bright. Agents working through the night, unraveling years of theft and betrayal. At her apartment, Serafina finally allows herself to feel. The tears come suddenly, violently. For Marcus, for her father, for all the weapons that were almost lost, each one carrying a story of someone who didn't come home. The Garand leans against her kitchen table. She cleans it one more time, oil and cloth moving in practiced patterns. The crack in the stock she'll have properly repaired, but the scars she'll leave. They're part of its history now. Her laptop chimes, an encrypted message from her actual supervisor at DIA. Outstanding work. Ready for your next assignment? She types, "I have a museum to run. Check back in 6 months." Understood. Marcus would be proud. She closes the laptop, stands at her window looking out at the base. Somewhere out there, 47 weapons are being cataloged as evidence. 47 pieces of history saved from disappearing into private collections. Tomorrow there will be paperwork, testimony, trial preparation. Harrison will lawyer up, claim national security, try to paint himself as a patriot. Donovan will say he was just following orders. The system will grind slowly toward justice. But tonight, Serafina Reeves sits at her kitchen table, breaking down and rebuilding her father's rifle in the lamplight. Each piece fits perfectly, worn smooth by his hands, then Marcus's, now hers. 3 generations connected through metal and wood and purpose. Outside, the base sleeps. The range is cold and empty. The Heritage Museum waits for Tuesday's tour. And in a cemetery overlooking the ocean, 2 sets of dog tags rest against a headstone, reflecting moonlight like tiny mirrors. Tuesday morning arrives with coastal fog, thick enough to muffle sound. Serafina unlocks the Heritage Museum at 08:30, 30 minutes before the official tour. The familiar smell of gun oil and old wood greets her like an old friend. She moves through her morning routine, checking each display, adjusting placards, ensuring every weapon sits at the correct angle. The door chimes at 08:45. Special Agent Chen enters, followed by 2 other agents and a court reporter. "Ms. Reeves, we need your formal statement. The tour starts in 15 minutes. This is priority. The tour starts in 15 minutes. Serafina continues adjusting a display of Korean War medals. 12 school children from Coronado Elementary are coming to learn about their grandfather's service. That takes priority. Chen starts to argue, then stops. Something in Serafina's tone suggests this isn't negotiable. We'll wait. At 0900 exactly, the school bus arrives. 12 fifth graders file in with their teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, whose husband is deployed with the fleet. The children's eyes go wide at the displays, the carefully preserved weapons, the photos of young men not much older than their brothers. "Welcome to the Naval Heritage Museum," Serafina begins, her voice different now, softer. "Every item here tells a story, not about war, but about the people who served." She guides them through the displays, stopping at the newly installed Garand. "This rifle belonged to Corporal Richard Reeves. He carried it through France in 1944. When he came home, he became a teacher, math and physics. He said calculating trajectory in combat made algebra seem easy." A girl raises her hand. "Was he your grandfather?" "My father. And this rifle almost disappeared forever. But sometimes, people who seem ordinary are actually guardians of extraordinary things." She tells them Marcus's story without the violence, focusing on his dedication to preserving history. The children listen with the kind of attention that only comes from hearing truth spoken plainly. The tour ends at 0945. As the children file out, the boy at the end of the line, maybe 10 years old, stops. "Miss Reeves, my dad says museums are where old things go to die. Your dad's wrong." She kneels to his height. "Museums are where memories live forever." The boy nods solemnly and rejoins his class. Chen watches from the corner, something shifting in her expression. "Now," Serafina says, standing, "you want my statement." They set up in the museum's back office. The court reporter's fingers hover over her keys as Serafina begins from the beginning. Not from Marcus's death, but from 5 years ago, when she first noticed discrepancies in military surplus sales. Small things initially. A collector in Switzerland somehow had a Medal of Honor recipient's sidearm. A museum in Japan displayed a rifle that should have been in Fort Benning. Each case individually meant nothing. Together, they showed a pattern. When did you suspect Harrison? 3 years ago. He signed off on too many destructions that couldn't be verified. Always small batches. Always items with historical significance but not operational value. And you didn't report it? I did, through channels. The investigation was closed for lack of evidence. That's when I knew someone higher was involved. Chen leans forward. Higher than a commander? Admiral Mitchell, Pacific Fleet Logistics, Harrison's mentor. The agents exchange glances. Chen types rapidly on her laptop. Admiral Mitchell retired 8 months ago. After Marcus died, he knew the investigation was coming, took his pension and disappeared to Costa Rica. We'll need everything you have on him. Serafina opens a safe behind a painting of the USS Constitution. Inside are drives, documents, photos, 5 years of investigation condensed into organized files. Marcus found the final proof 3 days before he died. Mitchell's offshore accounts. Harrison was sending him 60% of every sale. Why did they target Marcus specifically? He was too clean. Couldn't be bought, couldn't be threatened. His only vulnerability was his fear of heights, which they exploited. The court reporter's fingers pause. Should I include that? Include everything. They worked through lunch, Serafina detailing each weapon, each sale, each death that looked like accident. 3 other service members had died investigating the thefts over 7 years, all ruled accidents or suicides. At 1300, Wilson arrives with Torres. The young SEAL looks exhausted, dark circles under his eyes. "I've been suspended pending investigation," Torres says. "They think I knew." "Did you?" Chen asks. "Not about the murders, but I knew something was wrong. Donovan would have us do equipment checks that were really about moving weapons. I should have reported it." "You were following orders from a superior," Serafina says. "That's what you were trained to do." Marcus didn't just follow orders. He did what was right. And it killed him. The room goes quiet. Torres pulls out an envelope, hands it to Serafina. "From the team, the ones who aren't arrested. Inside are $20,000 in hundreds. A note reads, 'For the memorial fund, we failed our brother.'" Serafina counts it, then hands it back. "Build something at the base, a place where people can report concerns anonymously. Call it the Marcus Reeves Integrity Center." Torres nods, eyes wet. "Yes, ma'am." Chen's phone buzzes constantly. Each message brings new information. The investigation has spread to 17 bases across 3 countries. Over 400 weapons recovered so far. "We need you to testify before Congress," Chen says. "Armed Services Committee wants a full accounting." "When?" "Thursday. They're flying you to D.C. tonight." "I have a museum to run," Wilson speaks up. "I'll cover it. Least I can do." Serafina considers, then nods. "The Wednesday tour is for Gold Star families. They need someone who understands loss. I'll handle it with respect." At 1400, Serafina notices something wrong. The back room door, always locked, shows signs of tampering. Fresh scratches around the lock mechanism. She signals Chen, who draws her weapon. They clear the museum systematically. In the restoration room, they find him. Admiral Mitchell, 62 years old, gray-haired and distinguished even in civilian clothes. He's holding a thermite grenade. "Ms. Reeves, I should have known it was you when Marcus started asking questions." "Admiral," Chen keeps her weapon trained on him. "Put the device down. Do you know what this museum is worth?" Mitchell ignores Chen, focusing on Serafina. 40 million in weapons, just sitting here, gathering dust, when they could be in the hands of collectors who appreciate them. They belong to the people who earned them. The people who earned them are dead. He holds up the grenade. One device, and the evidence disappears. The weapons, the documents you've hidden here, everything. Including you, Serafina points out. I'm dead anyway. Costa Rica was a fiction. I have pancreatic cancer. 3 months left. He laughs bitterly. All that money, and I won't live to spend it. So, you came back to destroy evidence? I came back to finish something. Harrison was sloppy. Donovan was stupid. But you're the real problem. His hand tightens on the grenade. Your father would be ashamed. Richard Reeves was a warrior. You're just a clerk playing spy. Serafina steps forward. Chen hisses a warning, but she continues moving. My father taught me something you never learned. The mission isn't about glory or money. It's about the Marine to your left and right. Pretty words. Marcus was your Marine, under your command. You had a duty to protect him. Marcus was collateral damage. The words hang in the air. Serafina's expression doesn't change, but her hand moves to the small Sig Sauer holstered under her jacket. Not threatening, just present. Say his name again. Marcus! The shot is perfect. The grenade flies from Mitchell's hand, spinning across the room. Chen's team swarms him before he can react. The Admiral goes down hard, screaming about his rights, his service, his honor. You have no honor, Serafina says quietly. You sold it for 30 pieces of silver. As they drag Mitchell out, he spits at her feet. You think you've won? This goes deeper than you know. Pentagon, Congress, contractors with clearances you can't imagine. Then I'll keep digging. They'll kill you like they killed your brother. They can try. Mitchell is processed, booked, and held without bail. Flight risk and danger to the community, the judge rules. His lawyer, a slick type from Los Angeles, promises appeals, constitutional violations, prosecutorial overreach. But the evidence is overwhelming. Chen's team finds his storage unit in Tijuana. 97 weapons, all supposedly destroyed. Each one tagged with its history, ready for sale, the profit margins written in his own hand. That evening, Serafina packs for Washington. The Garand goes with her, registered as evidence. She'll carry it into the Senate hearing room, let them see what almost disappeared. While reviewing her laptop files, she notices the base's encrypted backup system has been logging unusual access patterns from 3 months before Marcus died, the kind of detailed tracking that modern security software provides for sensitive facilities. Someone had been watching Marcus's investigation, documenting his every query. The flight to D.C. takes 5 hours. Serafina doesn't sleep. Instead, she reviews 5 years of evidence, organizing it for maximum impact. The senator leading the hearing, John Patterson from Nebraska, is a former Marine. His son died in Afghanistan. He'll understand what stolen heritage means. Wednesday in Washington arrives gray and humid. The Russell Senate office building feels like a mausoleum, all marble and echoes. Serafina enters the hearing room at 0900, the Garand in its case beside her. The senators are already seated. Patterson in the center, flanked by 14 others. The gallery is packed with press, military officials, families of the dead. Ms. Reeves, Patterson begins, you are here to provide testimony regarding systematic theft and trafficking of military heritage items, resulting in the deaths of 4 service members, including your brother. Do you swear to tell the truth? I do. Please begin. She starts not with facts, but with a story. Her father, teaching her to shoot when other girls were playing with dolls. The weight of the Garand, too heavy for 7-year-old arms. How he said the rifle remembered every life it had taken and saved. This rifle, she says, removing it from the case, killed 17 enemy combatants in France. It saved 32 American lives during a counterattack at Carentan. It came home with my father and sat in our house for 40 years, a reminder that freedom has a price paid in blood. Senator Williams from Texas interrupts. Ms. Reeves, while touching, we need facts about the conspiracy. The facts are these. She shifts to data, projecting files on the screen. 712 weapons stolen over 9 years. $43 million in profits. 4 service members murdered. 1 admiral, 3 commanders, 17 senior enlisted involved. The room erupts. Reporters typing furiously. Photographers capturing every moment. Patterson gavels for order. You have proof of these murders? She plays Marcus's final video. His young face fills the screen, terrified but determined. The room goes silent as he details the evidence. Then the security footage of his murder. Several people in the gallery gasp when Harrison appears, pushing Marcus off the tower. This is my brother, 24 years old, 3 tours in Afghanistan, Bronze Star with Valor, killed for trying to protect pieces of metal and wood. Her voice cracks slightly. Except they're not just metal and wood. They're the physical connection to those who served. Senator Anderson from California, known for his anti-military stance, leans forward. Ms. Reeves, surely you're not suggesting old weapons are worth human lives? I'm suggesting that when we allow our heritage to be sold, we tell veterans their service was a commodity, that their sacrifice has a price tag. She holds up a photo. This is Sergeant Michael Cooper, World War II veteran, died last month at 98. His rifle, which he donated to the Army Museum, was being sold online while he was still alive. He saw the listing. His daughter said he cried for the first time since 1945. The hearing continues for 6 hours. Each senator asks their questions, some hostile, some sympathetic. Serafina answers with facts, evidence, precision. When they break for lunch, Chen approaches. You're doing well, but Anderson's going to push for reduced charges. He's friends with Mitchell's lawyer. Let him. After lunch, Anderson indeed attacks. Ms. Reeves, you shot Admiral Mitchell yesterday, a 62-year-old man with cancer. I shot the grenade from his hand before he could destroy evidence and kill everyone in the room. You could have negotiated. He had already killed my brother. Negotiation ended there. So, this is about revenge? This is about justice, and preventing more deaths. She turns to the gallery, where several Gold Star families sit. Every person here lost someone in service. Imagine if their loved one's effects, donated to honor their memory, were being sold on eBay. Anderson starts to respond, but a woman in the gallery stands. My son's rifle is on your evidence list. I donated it to Quantico's museum after he died in Iraq. You're saying someone stole it? Yes, ma'am. It was recovered yesterday in a warehouse in Tijuana. The woman begins crying. Others in the gallery start shouting questions. Patterson gavels repeatedly. We'll have order or clear the gallery. When quiet returns, Serafina continues. This isn't just about weapons. It's about trust. When service members donate items, when families contribute memories, they trust us to preserve them. Admiral Mitchell and his network betrayed that trust for money. At 1500, an aide rushes in, hands Patterson a note. The senator's face goes pale. We're in recess. Ms. Reeves, Agent Chen, my office. Now. In the office, Patterson shows them the message. Admiral Mitchell is dead. Suicide in his cell. Pills smuggled in somehow. A note left behind. The truth dies with me. He's protecting someone, Chen says immediately. Who's left to protect? Patterson asks. Serafina thinks, pieces falling into place. It's not who, it's what. The weapons were just one part. There's something else they were smuggling. What makes you think? The profit margins don't add up. 43 million over 9 years, split among 20 people, minus transport and bribes. Each person nets maybe 100,000 annually. That's not enough to kill for. Chen's laptop pings. Serafina's right. We just found another set of books in Mitchell's house. Coded, but the amounts are 10 times what the weapons brought. What else could they be moving? Patterson asks. Using military heritage shipments, properly documented and sealed, you could move anything. Drugs, intelligence, weapons that actually work. Patterson stands, paces to the window. If this is true, we're talking about treason. We need Mitchell's contact in Costa Rica, Serafina says. That's where the real buyer is. Chen makes a call. Within an hour, they have a name. Carlos Mendoza, formerly of Mexican Special Forces, now running the largest private military company in Central America. His clients include cartels, corporations, and 3 governments not friendly to the United States. We need someone undercover, Chen says. Someone who can approach him as a seller. I'll go, Serafina volunteers. You're burned. Everyone knows your face after today's hearing. Then we need someone else. Someone still inside the network who can flip. They look at each other, the same name occurring to all of them. Donovan, Patterson says. He's facing 30 years. Might want a deal. The meeting with Donovan happens that night in a federal holding facility. He's lost weight in 3 days, the swagger replaced by fear. Orange doesn't suit him. I want full immunity, he says immediately. You're not getting it, Chen responds. But we can recommend reduced sentencing if you cooperate fully. How reduced? Depends on what you give us. Donovan looks at Serafina. You knew all along. I suspected. You're not as subtle as you think. I never knew about Marcus. I swear. Harrison said he fell. Harrison's facing murder charges. Mitchell's dead. You're the last one who can tell us about Costa Rica. Donovan's hands shake slightly. It wasn't just weapons. Mitchell had us moving intel, classified technical manuals, communication codes past their expiration, but still useful, names and addresses of former Special Operations members. He was selling personnel files? 2 Mendoza, 4 recruitment. Mendoza pays former SEALs, Delta, Rangers $500,000 a year to train his people, but only if they're verified elite. And Mitchell verified them. Using official records, discharge papers, performance reviews, psychological profiles, everything a foreign actor would need to turn an American veteran. Serafina stands, walks to the window. Outside, Washington continues its endless motion. How many? Maybe 50 so far. Some went willingly, some were blackmailed with information from their files. We need names. I don't have them all, but I know the next shipment, Friday, container ship out of Virginia Long Beach. Mendoza's expecting 12 crates of museum pieces that are actually intelligence packages. You'll help us intercept it? If you get me 5 years instead of 30, Chen looks at Patterson, who nods. Deal. The operation is planned for Thursday night. Joint task force of NCIS, FBI, and DEA. Serafina insists on being present, though officially she's just an observer. They position at the port of Long Beach, watching container ZGLU 899422. At 2300, the trucks arrive. Donovan, wearing a wire, meets the drivers. The conversation is brief, professional. Money changes hands. The container is loaded. "We have enough," Chen says into her radio. "Move in." But something goes wrong. One of the drivers spots the surveillance. Shots fired. The scene erupts into chaos. Serafina, supposedly safe in the command vehicle, sees a figure running toward the water. She recognizes the gate. Harrison, somehow out on bail, making one last play. She leaves the vehicle against orders, follows him onto the pier. He's cornered at the end, the black water below. "Don't," she calls out. He turns, pistol in hand. "You destroyed everything. 20 years of building this network. You destroyed yourself when you killed Marcus. Marcus was nothing. A lance corporal who couldn't mind his own business. He was my brother. Family." Harrison laughs. "You know what family is? It's weakness, leverage. Mitchell understood that. Mitchell's dead, and I'll be next. Mendoza doesn't tolerate failure. He looks at the water. Unless I disappear. You're going to prison." "No, I'm not." He raises the pistol, not at her, at himself. Serafina moves, muscle memory from years of training. The tackle takes him down hard. The gun skitters across the pier. They fight, brief and vicious. Harrison is bigger, stronger, but Serafina knows how to use leverage. A knee to the solar plexus, an elbow to the temple. He goes down, gasping. NCIS agents swarm them, pulling Harrison up, cuffing him. He spits blood, glares at her. "You should have let me jump. Death's too easy. You get to live with what you've done." The operation nets 12 containers, all filled with classified materials. The intelligence value is staggering. Names of undercover operatives, technical specifications for weapons systems, locations of safe houses. Mendoza was building his own intelligence network using American sources. Friday morning, back in Washington, Serafina testifies again. This time in closed session, only the Intelligence Committee present. She details the full scope of the conspiracy. By noon, 17 more arrests are ordered. The network's tentacles reached into procurement, logistics, even recruiting command. The legal proceedings will take years. But the theft has stopped. The weapons are being returned to museums. The families are getting their heritage back. After the testimony, Patterson approaches her. "The DIA wants you back full-time. This operation proved your value. I have a museum to run. That's a waste of your talents. Preserving history is never a waste." She picks up the Garand, now officially hers again. Besides, someone needs to tell these stories. Make sure people remember. When she meets with military justice advocates in the afternoon, they explain how proper legal representation helps families of fallen service members uncover the truth behind training accidents. The lawyer, a former JAG officer, promises to review every suspicious death in the last decade. That evening, Serafina flies back to San Diego. Wilson picks her up at the airport. "How did it go?" "Harrison gets life. Donovan got 5 years. The rest vary." "And Mendoza?" "Mexican authorities raided his compound this morning. He's in custody." They drive in silence for a while. Then Wilson speaks. "Torres has been at the museum every day, cataloging, cleaning, organizing, kids trying to atone. He doesn't need to atone. He did the right thing when it mattered. Tell him that. He won't believe it from me." Saturday morning, Serafina returns to the museum. Torres is there, carefully cleaning a display of Vietnam medals. "Petty officer." He jumps, turns. "Ma'am, I didn't expect you back so soon." "It's my job." She watches him work. Precise, careful, respectful. "Wilson says you've been here every day. It feels right. These items, they deserve care." "They do." She moves to the Garand display. "So do you. Ma'am, you made a choice on that pier. The hard choice, the right choice. That's all anyone can ask." Torres nods, eyes wet again. "I keep thinking about Marcus. If I'd spoken up sooner, then you'd be dead too. Harrison and Mitchell didn't leave witnesses. How do you live with it? The guilt?" "By making sure their sacrifice meant something." She adjusts the Garand's position slightly. "Marcus died protecting history. Now, we protect it for him." The museum reopens Monday. The first tour is for the base commander and his staff. Word has spread about what happened. Everyone wants to see the rifle that brought down a conspiracy. But Serafina doesn't focus on that. Instead, she tells them about Corporal Richard Reeves, who came home from war and became a teacher, about Lance Corporal Marcus Reeves, who died protecting the truth, about the 43 weapons recovered and returned to their rightful places. Every item here has a story, she concludes. Our job is to make sure those stories never end. After the tour, the base commander approaches. Ms. Reeves, I owe you an apology. We should have listened when Marcus raised concerns. Listening now is what matters. We're implementing new protocols, anonymous reporting, regular audits, protection for whistleblowers. We're calling it the Marcus Reeves Protocol. She nods, unable to speak for a moment. 3 months pass. The trials continue. Harrison is convicted of murder, conspiracy, and treason. Life without parole. He shows no remorse, claims he was a patriot monetizing unused assets. Mitchell's network unravels completely. 53 people arrested across 17 bases. 400 million in assets frozen. The biggest military corruption scandal in decades. Serafina testifies at each trial, always carrying the Garand, always wearing Marcus's dog tags beside her own. The media calls her a hero. She corrects them every time. The heroes are the ones who didn't come home. Torres completes his sentence, reduced for cooperation and testimony. He returns to the SEALs but requests assignment to base security, specifically heritage protection. His request is approved. The museum changes. No longer a forgotten corner of the base, but a pilgrimage site. Veterans come to see their history protected. Families donate items, knowing they'll be preserved. 1 year after Marcus's death, Serafina stands at his grave. The Garand rests against the headstone. Torres is there, Wilson, Chen, even some of the senators. They don't speak, just stand and witness. Finally, Serafina breaks the silence. Truth outlives the lie, always. She picks up the rifle, shoulders it. The crowd disperses slowly, but Chen lingers. The offer stands. DIA wants you back. And my answer stands. The museum needs me. It's a waste. No. Serafina cuts her off. It's exactly where I should be. Marcus died for these stories. The least I can do is tell them. That afternoon, back at the museum, a package arrives. No return address. Inside is a single item. Admiral Mitchell's service pistol from Vietnam, a note attached. He would want this preserved properly, despite everything. A friend. Serafina holds it for a long moment. Then she catalogs it, creates a display card. Not celebrating Mitchell, but acknowledging the complexity of service, how heroes can become villains, how honor can be sold. The pistol goes in a case labeled Cautionary Tales, when service members lose their way. Below it, she places a photo of Marcus. The contrast is clear. 2 paths, 2 choices, 2 endings. A school group arrives for the afternoon tour. 3rd graders this time, wide-eyed and eager. Serafina guides them through, stopping at the Garand. This rifle saved many lives, she tells them. But its greatest victory was revealing the truth about some very bad people who tried to steal our history. A boy raises his hand. Did you shoot the bad people? No. I used the rifle to prove they were criminals. Sometimes the most powerful weapon is truth. That's boring, another child says. Boring is good. Boring means nobody dies. After the tour, she sits in her office, writing the monthly report. Visitor numbers up 300%, donations increasing, new security measures working perfectly. The Marcus Reeves Memorial Fund has raised $200,000 for veteran families. Her phone buzzes, a text from an unknown number. Your brother would be proud. She doesn't respond, doesn't trace it. Some messages don't need answers. Evening falls over San Diego. The museum closes, but Serafina remains. She walks through the displays, adjusting items that don't need adjusting, reading placards she's memorized. This is her post now, her watch. The Garand sits in its case, rust spots still visible, crack in the stock professionally repaired but still apparent. Beautiful in its imperfection, deadly in its truth. She locks up, drives home. Tomorrow is Tuesday, tour day. She'll tell the stories again. Richard Reeves at Normandy, Marcus Reeves who died for truth. The rifle that bridged generations and brought justice. In her apartment, she cleans the Sig Sauer she rarely carries anymore. The DIA credentials sit in a drawer, still valid, unused. That life feels distant now, though it's only been months. The phone rings. Chen again. Chen. There's another situation, Texas this time, missing weapons from Fort Hood's museum. Send me the files. So, you'll help? I'll review and advise, but I'm not leaving the museum. Understood. She works through the night, cross-referencing serial numbers, tracking shipping manifests, identifying patterns. By dawn, she's found the leak. A supply sergeant, gambling debts, selling to Mexican cartels. She sends Chen the analysis with a note. Checks Sergeant Morrison's bank records. Deposits every third Friday. Also, his daughter's medical bills were mysteriously paid off 6 months ago. Chen texts back immediately. How did you catch what we missed? I know what to look for. The pattern is always the same. Financial pressure, moral compromise, escalation, death. We need you on this. You have everything you need. Make the arrest before someone dies. Tuesday's tour arrives. A Gold Star Mothers Group. 7 women who lost sons in Afghanistan and Iraq. Serafina guides them gently, letting them touch the displays, hold the weapons their children might have carried. At the Garand, she tells them everything. Marcus, Mitchell, Harrison, the conspiracy, the justice. One mother starts crying. My son reported missing equipment before he died. They said he was mistaken. Serafina takes the woman's hands. What was his name? Corporal James Mitchell, no relation to the Admiral. I'll look into it. It won't bring him back. No, but truth matters, even when it comes late. After researching, Serafina discovers Corporal Mitchell was another murder victim. Harrison had killed him for reporting missing equipment. Chen reopens the case, bringing closure to another family. 6 months later, Serafina testifies before Congress about prevention. The Marcus Reeves Military Heritage Protection Act passes, mandating life sentences for murdering whistleblowers and 10 years for stealing military heritage items. Years pass. Harrison dies in prison. Donovan serves his time, reforms, teaches ethics. Torres becomes chief petty officer. The museum grows, families trust them. The Marcus Reeves Memorial Wing opens. Serafina remains, conducting tours every Tuesday and Thursday, telling the stories. On the 5th anniversary of Marcus's death, she declines the Medal of Freedom. I'm just a museum curator. That night, alone with the Garand, she holds Marcus's dog tags to the light. We did it, little brother. The phone rings. Another case, another theft, another family seeking truth. She answers. She always answers, because that's what guardians do.
Thank you for being part of our EV story. Here, we tell story about simple women with hidden strength and deep courage. So, if story inspire you, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. We will see you in the next story.